Hello, YouTube. Man, we've got a really interesting video for you guys, especially those of you that have been following the Sig Sauer situation. Um, how the turntables. So many plot twists. So we'll just cut right to it. There's been an arrest made in the death of the airman. You might remember from last month, not too long ago, like just a little over 2 weeks ago. The story here is the Air Force makes arrest in the airman's shooting death involving the M18 pistol. There's not really details provided, except we're understanding the charges are making false statements, obstruction of justice, and involuntary manslaughter. So there's, like I said, there's been an arrest and there's been charges laid down. It's not clear what's happened. There's not an accounting of what the incident is, but I think you might remember, if you're a pretty frequent viewer, I did come out and say, what was it, last week or something like that. It's like, hey, I'm hearing a lot of conflicting stuff about this. I don't really believe any of it, but I'm hearing a lot of conflicting stuff. I've heard that it was not a gun thing. I've heard everything from it was just a straight up murder that somebody was lying about. I've heard there was a horseplay thing. I've heard a lot of weird shit. I don't really know, but again, the arrest here would suggest that at least the prosecutors are probably not thinking that it's the gun. However, if you think about it, they might. What was the initial story we heard? That a guy took the holstered gun off his belt and put it on a table or something. It's not impossible to me that somebody did that and then the gun went off because it was pointed at somebody, and then like, oh, okay, that's a safety violation, and that's like an involuntary manslaughter thing. And then, in the course of maybe speaking to the investigators, maybe they think the airman or whatever lied about it, and he gets hit with making false statement charges. I don't really, I don't know what happened. I've heard a lot of conflicting shit. It's my suspicion at this point that this is not going to prove out to be a SIG-cident. It's going to be some other kind of incident. But again, I don't know yet. It's just I'm not surprised to see this thing headed towards a rug pull. It looks like a rug pull at this point, that it's just not true that's what happened. There's been a response from SIG as well to this, and it's from Phil Strader. I know Phil. Phil's pretty reasonable. Let's read his post. I would challenge the clubs and organizations that banned the P320 and its variants based on the false rumors that were perpetrated recklessly and reprehensibly about this tragic incident to reconsider their position. Call your clubs and orgs and ask them to consider the millions of responsible P320 owners who have shot hundreds of millions of rounds with zero incidents. Ask them to base their decisions on the facts, the most important one being the P320 will only fire when the trigger is pulled. And then a link to p320truth.com. Now, I get it. I get where they're coming from. I'm sure they feel like they got done dirty on this one. And I'm definitely one of the people that traffics rumors. I'll just come out here and say, like, this is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing these rumors that this or that happened. I'm happy to traffic rumors. And in a situation like this, I don't think that's really a bad thing. You want to overreact to the rumors you're hearing, but it's definitely good to traffic them around so we can kind of take the temperature. And I like hearing different things from people. And I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily like I said, to traffic those rumors. I'm one of the people doing it. But I'll be pretty clear, hey, this is a rumor I'm hearing. I don't know what the case is exactly. So I understand why they feel done dirty. However, like I said, to a lot of people, this one airman incident didn't really move the needle for me. I think there's issues with the gun. I've thought that for a while. I don't recommend people buy them. It's like it didn't change my position. There's a lot of people that looked at this incident and it did change their position. And those people, I don't know if they were really looking at the facts available on that incident. We can also say there's a lot of other video, a lot of other incidents, a lot of other information out there, let's say at this point, that would lead you to believe that there's a problem with the 320, of course. Now, if there's an incident with the airmen, we'll say at this point, like that was not a SIG incident, but people think it's a SIG incident, and it gets them looking at all this other information over here. And based on everything, the whole picture of what they're hearing, they're like, I think there's a problem with the gun. We should discontinue using it. Like, I don't think that's a super unfair or unreasonable outcome. However, did people, like a lot of people like knee jerked on this thing and just like bam, bam, ban, 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 ban. And like I think I said it last week, at a certain point, it's like the gun is getting banned because the gun's getting banned. People look around like, oh, everybody's banning that shit. Well, I'm banning it too. I mean, people are kind of pack animals in a way, and that's kind of what we're seeing. Of course, keep paying attention. It's a pretty interesting incident. There's another interesting piece of SIG news. Let me read the headline. Attempt to unban P320 from Washington Police Training Facility. The Washington judge rejected Sig Sauer's plea to reverse the Washington Criminal Justice Training Center's ban on the P320 pistol on Friday. A judge in Thurston County denied the company's motion to force the law enforcement training facility to reinstate use of the weapon. She said she was ruling only based on the brief evidence heard in the early stage of the case, and things could still go the other way during the merits phase of the trial. Okay, so I think SIG tried to reverse that ban. It hasn't worked yet, but they're going to have a trial. There'll be more coming from that. And if you're not familiar, that academy, Washington State, whatever, Washington Criminal Justice Training Center, yeah. They discontinue use of this 320, and I guess they're in the middle of a lawsuit. If SIG's going to sue everybody that stops using their product, I mean, they're going to have to sue a lot of people, I think. All right, now let's traffic in some other rumors, and these are Glock rumors. Awesome. All right, this is coming from Glock Store. Breaking news, we've received news that all Glock Koa models, that's the one that comes with the sight, have been canceled for the civilian market indefinitely to fill military orders. We don't know if this means the U.S. military or elsewhere, but we've heard rumors this could be related to the M17 P320. We expect the limited remaining supply to go very quickly, and that no new Koa orders will hit the civilian market anytime soon. That's coming from Glock Store. Now, I've talked with other industry people about this today, because to me, like I've heard a lot of other rumors. There's people that I consider kind of intelligent and credible that are telling me that the military is going to go to the Glock 19X maybe because that already passed some standard. They won't have to redo the trials, so they're going to look at milling it. I've heard that they're going to go to the Koa. Like, I'm hearing all this stuff, and to me that just seems like I can't imagine the military making a move like that so quickly. I can't imagine how many lawyers SIG would shove up their ass if they did that. It just seems like a really big move. It would be kind of cataclysmic. And then the other thing I can say is that I'm also hearing from a lot of people that the demand for the Glock Koa thing is more than people were anticipating. You know, it's just an out-of-the-box solution from a reputable company like that. You have Glock and Aimpoint, which I know a lot of you guys love the fucking Acros. I think the Acros are shit. I hope the Koa is better. You know, that the optic that's provided with it. People are saying it is good, by the way. That like credible people that I talk to, they're saying it works pretty well. So you know, maybe that thing has just been more popular than Glock was anticipating, and they can't really meet the demand, because that's a real possibility too. So I don't really know what the fact is here, but again, let's traffic in some rumors. I'm hearing some wild shit about what the military might potentially do as far as like going towards Glock or whatever they would do. It would be a massive thing. Again, it's hard for me to really imagine that it would happen, especially that quickly. But I've been hearing wild shit all day about that. All right, so there we go, guys. There's your little update, some rumors in it and all that stuff. This situation continues to fascinate me. It really does. And I know some of you guys are sick of it, but most of you aren't. and it's just fun to watch. So, like I said, I'll keep my ear to the ground. We'll keep looking at it. I can't imagine what's going to happen next. We'll say that.